I'm sure by now you've heard all about the Supreme Court reform in Israel. It's a big issue, and it's all anyone is talking about. My goal today is to explain it as clearly as possible so that you don't get left out of the conversation at your next politically charged dinner party. Ready? Let's dive in. The Supreme Court of Israel has played a major role in the country's democracy for a long time. It's responsible for making sure laws passed by the government are in line with the country's basic laws. The court serves as a check on government power. You know, like Batman watching over Gotham. But there's a big debate about the court's powers, and some people think it's time to shake things up. Historically, certain politicians and groups have questioned the court's authority and power. They argue that the court has been overstepping its boundaries and meddling in issues that should be left to the government and elected officials. Another argument is that there is not diversity of opinion or representation on the Supreme Court. It's a little bit like a sibling rivalry. The government wants to do its thing without the court butting in, and the current Israeli government coalition is very unhappy with its sibling.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart.
One of the hot topics causing all this fuss is the judicial review. What's that? It's when the court examines laws and government actions to see if they're constitutional or not. And there are those saying the court is using this power too much and not leaving enough room for the government to do its job. Another bone of contention is the selection process of judges. Right now, a committee picks the judges, and it's made up of both judges and politicians. But some people think the system gives too much power to the judges themselves, as they have a big say in picking their future colleagues. Here's where it gets really spicy. The current prime minister, the head honcho, is pushing for changes. He wants to limit the court's power and change the way judges are chosen. But of course, not everyone agrees. Some folks are worried this move will weaken the only mechanism to check government power and hurt Israel's democratic principles. The government wants to pass a new law that will let the parliament, known as the Knesset, overrule the government's decisions. Yeah, you heard that right. The government will be the boss, and the court's rulings, in theory, could be tossed out like yesterday's trash. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the government would do. Supporters argue that the government was elected by the people and would represent them responsibly. But opponents are worried that this new law could let the government do whatever it wants without anyone keeping them in check. But wait, there's more. Another proposal wants to change the judge selection process. They want to reduce the influence of current judges and involve more politicians in picking new judges. That's like asking the students to grade their own papers. People on both sides of the debate are getting heated, and there's a lot at stake. Some folks think the court is essential to protect minority rights and uphold the values of democracy, like a shield against potential tyranny. On the other hand, those in favor of the reforms argue that the court has gone too far, and it's time to bring it back in line. This tug of war has even attracted international attention and sparked widespread protests. Hundreds of thousands have taken to the streets against the reform. Many Israeli servicemen and women have refused to arrive for military reservist duties. And in Israel, that's a pretty huge deal. And as you could guess, there have been counter-protests too. And when you get thousands or tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people protesting in the streets, there's bound to be clashes with the police. Israel's Supreme Court is in the spotlight, and the whole country is debating its future. Some want to rein in the court's powers and change how judges are chosen, while others are worried about the consequences this might have on democracy and human rights. It's a complex situation, and no one knows for sure how it will play out. But one thing's for certain, and it may be one of the few things the sides can agree on. This is a huge moment in Israel's history, and no one seems to be taking it lightly. So where do you stand on the issues of the reform? Let us know in the comment section down below.